After years of speculation, whispers, and family turmoil that has played out right before our very eyes on national television, the story of the Roloff family, as we know it, has come to a shattering, unbelievable, and truly catastrophic end. The news that is breaking right now is more shocking than any season finale, more devastating than any family feud, and it threatens to burn the entire legacy of Roloff farms to the ground. Because today, we have to talk about the bombshell report that Caryn Chandler, Matt Roloff's fiancée and the woman who went from farm manager to the controversial matriarch in waiting, has allegedly been arrested. And the reason for this arrest? It's a number so large, so staggering, it casts a dark shadow over every single interaction, every business decision, and every family argument we have ever witnessed. We're talking about the alleged theft of over $1 million from Matt Roloff and the Roloff family business. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are unpacking what might be the single most explosive story in the history of reality television. We need to put a major disclaimer right here at the top. The information we are about to discuss is based on breaking reports, insider whispers, and sources close to the situation. This is a developing story, and many details are still coming to light. But what we have heard is so detailed and so devastating that we have to talk about it. This isn't just about money. This is about a decade of alleged manipulation. This is about the betrayal of a man who seemingly gave this woman everything. And most importantly, this is about the vindication of Amy Roloff and the heartbreaking realization for Zach and Jeremy Roloff that the farm they fought so hard for, the legacy they felt was stolen from them, might have been pilfered away right under their noses for years. We're going to break this down into several parts. First, we'll cover the alleged incident itself, the arrest. What do we know? What are the sources saying? Second, we need to rewind the tape. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning and trace the seeds of this alleged betrayal. We'll look at Caryn's rise to power, her role in the divorce, and her ever-increasing influence over Matt's decisions. Third, we'll dive into the million-dollar question. How? How could something like this happen? We'll explore the potential financial mechanisms that could have been at play. And finally, we will discuss the fallout, the family's reaction. What does this mean for Matt, for Amy, for the kids, and for the future of little people, big world? Grab your tea, because this is a long and winding road, paved with secrets, lies, and a level of betrayal that is truly, truly shocking. Let's get into it. Part 1. The arrest. A picture-perfect facade crumbles. Host. To understand the gravity of the situation, we have to paint a picture of the scene as it's been described to us by sources in the North Plains, Oregon area. 4 weeks. Things have reportedly been tense at Roloff Farms. While the public face of Matt and Caryn's relationship has been one of wedding planning, grandkid visits, and idyllic Arizona sunsets, behind the scenes, a storm was brewing. Our sources, including one individual who has worked seasonally at the farm for years, describe a change in Matt Roloff's demeanor. He was reportedly more withdrawn, more stressed, and often seen poring over financial documents late into the night in the farm office. This wasn't the typical stress of running a business. This was described as a man, haunted by a ghost he couldn't yet see. The catalyst, we are told, was a discrepancy. A very large one. An end-of-year financial review conducted by a new accounting firm Matt had hired allegedly turned up a series of red flags. We're talking about irregularities in payroll, invoices for companies that seemed to lead to dead ends, and a pattern of cash withdrawals from the farm's business accounts during the peak of pumpkin season that didn't quite add up. Initially, the suspicion was external fraud, but as the accountants dug deeper, the trail allegedly began to lead inwards. Shockingly, terrifyingly inwards. According to a source allegedly close to the financial investigation, the trail pointed directly to accounts and transactions allegedly managed solely by Caryn Chandler. 4 years, Caryn wasn't just Matt's partner, she was his de facto business manager. She had intimate access to the books, the accounts, the passwords, the very financial lifeblood of the Roloff empire. Matt, known for his big ideas and creative vision, often left the day-to-day financial minutiae to her, trusting her implicitly. It was a trust, it now appears, that may have been devastatingly misplaced. The arrest itself, as described, was quiet, but no less dramatic for its subtlety. It didn't happen with sirens blaring at the farm gate during pumpkin season. Instead, authorities reportedly approached Caryn at her home in Oregon, away from the prying eyes of TLC cameras and farm visitors. An eyewitness who lives in her neighborhood described seeing an unmarked car and two plain-clothed individuals approach her door early in the morning. She was later seen being escorted from her home, not in handcuffs, but looking pale and shaken, before being driven away. The Washington County Sheriff's Office has been predictably tight-lipped, releasing only a standard, no comment on ongoing investigations. But the whispers in the community are deafening. The charges being floated around by sources familiar with white-collar crime investigations are serious: embezzlement, wire fraud, and potentially even elder financial abuse, given Matt's age and reliance on Caryn. The number that keeps coming up is just over $1 million, a figure that has been systematically and allegedly siphoned off over a period of 5 to 7 years. It's a slow bleed, a death by 1,000 cuts, small enough amounts at a time to go unnoticed, but adding up to a grand betrayal of staggering proportions. Imagine being Matt Roloff in that moment. The woman you were planning to marry, the woman you defended against your own family, the woman you handed the keys to your kingdom to, being accused of robbing you blind. The psychological devastation is almost impossible to comprehend. But for many longtime viewers of Little People, Big World, this shocking development might not be a complete surprise. Instead, it might be the final, horrifying puzzle piece that makes the last decade of chaos on that farm finally make sense. To understand why, we have to go back. Way back. Part 2, The Long Con, a decade of red flags. Host. To truly grasp the magnitude of this alleged betrayal, we can't just look at the arrest. We have to look at the entire arc of Caryn Chandler's integration into the Roloff family. Was this a genuine love story that went horribly wrong? Or was it, as some are now speculating, the most patient and calculated con in reality TV history? Let's rewind to before Caryn was a main character. For over a decade, Caryn worked as a manager at Roloff Farms. She was, by all accounts, a competent and dedicated employee. She was a background player. We saw glimpses of her during pumpkin season, a friendly face helping to manage the chaos. During this time, the dynamic, for all its faults, was clear. Matt and Amy were the heads of the family and the business. But as their marriage began to publicly crumble, Caryn's role began to shift. This is where the first major red flag for many viewers appeared. Amy Roloff, in her book A Little Me, and on the show itself, made it painfully clear that she felt a line had been crossed between Matt and Caryn long before the divorce was finalized. She spoke of feeling isolated, of seeing intimate messages, of a friendship that felt inappropriate and secretive. Amy, Caryn has been part of pumpkin season, and she's a friend, but it's what evolved from that friendship that was hurtful to me. At the time, this was framed as the messy fallout of a divorce. Matt and Caryn vehemently denied a physical affair, insisting their romantic relationship began only after Matt and Amy separated. But Amy's pain was palpable. She wasn't just losing her husband. She felt like she was being systematically replaced in her own life, on her own farm, by her own employee. Now, in the context of a $1 million theft allegation, we have to re-examine this period. Was Caryn's pursuit of a relationship with Matt driven by genuine affection, or was it a strategic move? Was becoming Matt's partner the ultimate key to unlocking the Roloff fortune? Once Matt and Amy divorced, and Caryn stepped officially into the role of Matt's girlfriend, her influence appeared to skyrocket. It was no longer just about managing pumpkin season. She became his confidant, his business advisor, his travel partner, and his fiercest defender. We, the viewers, watched as she became a permanent fixture in the farm office, at family meetings, and at Matt's side in every major decision. And this is where the second, and perhaps most significant, red flag appears: the sale of the farm. The fight over the future of Roloff Farms tore the family to shreds. It pitted father against son, brother against brother, and it created a rift that, to this day has not healed. Both Zach and Jeremy made offers to buy a portion of the farm, the portion Amy sold to Matt. They wanted to raise their kids there to continue the Roloff legacy. It was their birthright in their eyes, and both of their offers were rejected by Matt. The reason? Matt claimed his sons couldn't afford it, that their offers weren't strong enough, that they didn't appreciate the work he had put in. He painted himself as a beleaguered businessman just trying to get a fair price. But Zach, in a rare and stunning public rebuke, told a different story. He accused his father of manipulating the narrative, of creating a situation where it was impossible for them to buy. And who was by Matt's side during every single one of these tense negotiations? Caryn. Viewers pointed out time and time again how Caryn seemed to insert herself into the process. She would offer her opinions, frame the situation in a way that always painted Matt as the victim and the boys as entitled. Caryn, you need to do what's best for you. You've worked your whole life for this. They have to understand that. Host, on the surface, it looks like a supportive partner. But now, let's apply the new lens of these allegations. What if it wasn't about supporting Matt? What if it was about asset control? If you are allegedly siphoning money from a business, the last thing you want is for a new, younger, more hands-on owner to come in and start looking at the books. Zach and Tori, or Jeremy and Audrey, would have undoubtedly wanted to do a full audit. They would have wanted to understand every income stream and every expense. A new set of eyes would have been a catastrophic threat to any illicit financial activity. So, was Caryn's advice to Matt really about getting the best price? Or was it a calculated act of self-preservation? Did she subtly poison the well, framing the sons' reasonable offers as lowball insults, ensuring that Matt would get defensive and reject them? Did she help create the very family schism that would keep her in a position of financial control? The possibility is chilling. She didn't just stand by Matt. She may have actively ensured that the one thing that could have exposed her, a transfer of ownership to the next generation, never happened. The ultimate irony is that Matt ended up putting the farm on the open market and later turning it into a short-term rental, a decision that baffled everyone. It seemed to go against everything he ever said he wanted. But it kept him, and by extension, Caryn, in complete control of the asset and its cash flow. Looking back, the signs of a potential long con are disturbingly clear. Isolate the target. She entered the picture during a period of extreme marital strife between Matt and Amy. The divorce created a power vacuum and an emotional vulnerability in Matt, which she filled. Gain trust. She became his indispensable partner, not just romantically, but in business. She managed the details he didn't want to, earning his implicit trust. Control the finances. With that trust, she gained access and oversight of the business's complex financials, a world Matt was less interested in than his construction projects. Eliminate threats. She allegedly helped to neutralize the biggest threat to her control, the children. By framing them as adversarial or financially unprepared, she ensured the assets remained under Matt's, and therefore her, dominion. It's a classic playbook, and if these allegations are true, Caryn Chandler played the game masterfully for nearly a decade, all while smiling for the cameras. So, if the allegations are true, if over $1 million did vanish from the Roloff empire over the better part of a decade, how was it done? White-collar crime within a family business is often a crime of 1,000 small cuts. It's not a single bank heist. It's a slow, methodical bleed. Based on what sources close to the investigation are suggesting, there were likely several methods at play. Let's break down the potential avenues for this alleged grand-scale embezzlement. This is perhaps the most classic and hardest-to-trace method for a business like Roloff Farms. Pumpkin season is a cash-heavy bonanza. Tens of thousands of visitors descend on the farm every October, paying for admission, parking, pumpkin purchases, food, and attractions. While many transactions are now digital, a significant portion is still good old-fashioned cash. It would be deceptively simple for someone with oversight of the daily cash-out process to skim a percentage off the top before the official deposit is made. Let's say on a busy Saturday, the farm brings in $50,000 in cash. Who's to say it wasn't really $53,000? Skimming just a few $1,000s each weekend during the busiest month of the year could add up to tens of thousands of dollars annually. Over 7 or 8 years, that alone could account for a significant six-figure sum. A source familiar with the farm's operations noted that Caryn often took a very hands-on role in managing the cash boxes and reconciling the daily earnings during the festival. It was seen as dedication. Now, it's being viewed under a microscope of suspicion. Did her diligence provide the perfect cover for a systematic skim? Method 2. The ghost vendor scheme. This method is more sophisticated and points to a more calculated, long-term fraud. This involves creating fake invoices from non-existent companies for services never rendered. Imagine this. Caryn, in her capacity as a manager, could set up a shell corporation. Let's call it North Plains Agricultural Supply, LLC. This company has a business bank account, which she secretly controls. Every few months, North Plains Agricultural Supply sends an invoice to Roloff Farms for, say, $8,500 for fertilizer and irrigation maintenance. Caryn, who is in charge of approving such payments, approves the invoice. Matt, trusting her completely, signs the check or authorizes the transfer. The money goes from Roloff Farms to the shell company and then directly into her pocket. These amounts are strategically chosen. They're not large enough to trigger a major audit on their own, but they are substantial. If you do this with 2 or 3 different ghost companies, invoicing for everything from event marketing services to equipment repair, you could easily siphon off $100,000 to $150,000 a year without raising immediate alarm. The new accounting firm that Matt hired would have likely been the ones to finally ask the simple question, who are these companies? Can we see proof of the work they did? When that proof couldn't be provided, the house of cards would begin to fall. This method is particularly insidious because it preys on the trust of the business owner. Matt is a big picture guy. He's focused on building his new house, designing a new attraction, or planning his next trip to Arizona. He's not going to cross-reference every single invoice for fertilizer with inventory logs. He trusted Caryn to do that. She allegedly exploited that trust to its absolute breaking point. Method 3. Payroll padding and benefits fraud. Another potential avenue is through the payroll system. This could involve keeping former seasonal employees on the books for a few extra weeks after they've left and diverting their paychecks to an account she controls. Or, more simply, giving herself unauthorized raises, bonuses, or expense reimbursements that were never approved by Matt. Think about the expenses associated with their life together. The travel, the fine dining, the running of 2 homes in Oregon and Arizona. It's easy to blur the lines between personal and business expenses. How many personal dinners were written off as business meetings? How many vacations were partially funded by a fraudulent business conference expense report? When you control the books, you can justify almost anything. Over years, these minor fudges can accumulate into a colossal sum. Method 4. The Arizona connection. Matt and Caryn purchased a home in Arizona together, a move that Caryn was reportedly very enthusiastic about. This move also presented a new and complex financial entanglement. The purchase of a home, the renovations, the furnishing, it all costs money. Sources are now speculating whether funds from the Oregon-based farm business were improperly diverted to fund their Arizona lifestyle. Were business funds used for the down payment? Were fraudulent equipment purchase invoices for the farm actually used to buy new furniture or landscaping for the Arizona property? Commingling funds between a business in one state and a personal asset in another is a classic way to muddy the waters and hide the movement of money. It was Caryn, not Matt, who was often said to be managing the budget for their new home. This puts her in the perfect position to allegedly orchestrate such a scheme. When you combine these potential methods, a little cash skimmed here, a fake invoice there, a padded expense report, a diverted fund, it's not hard to see how the total could creep over the $1 million mark over the course of nearly a decade. It's a betrayal of breathtaking scope. And the most heartbreaking part of all, the money that was allegedly being stolen is the very money that the Roloff children, specifically Zach and Jeremy, were trying to leverage to buy the farm. The narrative they were fed was that the business couldn't afford to give them a family discount, that Matt needed every penny of the market value. But what if the business was secretly being drained from the inside? What if the reason Matt felt so financially squeezed, the reason he couldn't make a deal with his sons, was because his own partner was bleeding him dry? The financial betrayal is one thing. The emotional and familial destruction it caused is a tragedy of a whole other magnitude. And that brings us to the fallout. Part 4. The fallout. A family shattered, a prophecy fulfilled. Host. The news of Caryn's arrest and the allegations of $1 million theft haven't just caused a legal crisis. They have sent a seismic shockwave through the entire Roloff family. The reactions, as you can imagine, range from utter devastation to a quiet, heartbreaking vindication. Let's explore how each key family member is likely processing this apocalypse. For Matt, this is nothing short of a complete and utter shattering of his world. This goes beyond money. This is a fundamental betrayal of trust by the person he chose over his own family. Think about the public battles he fought for Caryn. He defended her against Amy's accusations. He weathered the coldness from his own children. He repeatedly told the world, and himself, that Caryn was his rock, his partner in all things, the person who got him in a way Amy never did. Matt, Caryn is an amazing person. We're a great team. I don't think I could get through a lot of this stuff without her. To find out that this entire relationship may have been predicated on a monumental financial deception is a psychological blow from which he may never recover. Sources close to him describe him as a ghost. He is reportedly in a state of profound shock and denial, barely speaking to anyone. He feels not just robbed, but utterly foolish. His entire judgment, his perception of his own life for the past 10 years, has been called into question. This also forces him to confront the catastrophic damage done to his relationship with his sons. He drove a wedge between himself and them, in part by defending Caryn and her role in the farm negotiations. He chose his new partner's counsel over his children's legacy. Now, he's left with the horrifying realization that his sons may have been right all along. Not just about Caryn's intentions, but about the entire situation. The money he claimed he needed from them, the hardline stance he took, was all based on a financial reality that was allegedly a complete fabrication, manipulated by the woman sleeping next to him. How do you ever come back from that? The guilt must be unbearable. Amy Roloff, the vindicated matriarch. If there is one person in this saga who has every right to say, "I told you so," it is Amy Roloff Knight. For years, Amy was painted as the bitter ex-wife, unable to move on, unfairly hostile towards Caryn. She voiced her discomfort, her suspicions, and her hurt, only to be dismissed by Matt, and often by viewers who just wanted her to get over it. Amy always maintained that something was not right about the way Caryn and Matt's relationship began. She felt a deep sense of betrayal that went beyond a simple divorce. She felt like she had been pushed out of her own life by a calculated effort. While she probably never would have suspected financial theft on this scale, the news that Caryn has been arrested for betraying Matt in such a profound way must feel like a cosmic validation of every instinct she ever had. A source close to Amy says she is not gloating. Instead, she is profoundly sad, especially for Matt and for her children. She is heartbroken that the family farm, the centerpiece of their lives, became the stage for such a sordid drama. But there is also a sense of relief. The world can now see what she felt for years, that Caryn Chandler's presence in the family was a destructive force. Her husband, Chris Merrick, is reportedly being her rock, a source of stability in the chaos. This news solidifies the wisdom of Amy's decision to sell her portion of the farm, move on, and build a new life for herself. She successfully escaped a situation that has now imploded in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. Zach and Tori Roloff, the heartbreak of what if? For Zach and Tori, this news is a double-edged sword of pure agony. On one hand, it is the ultimate vindication. Their gut feelings about Caryn, their discomfort with her influence over Matt, and their belief that she was a central figure in blocking them from the farm, all now seem to be horrifyingly accurate. He said, she said, battle with Matt is over. It's clear that the entire negotiation was tainted. But the other edge of that sword is the crushing, soul-destroying realization of what they lost. Zach didn't just want to buy a piece of property. He wanted to buy his childhood. He wanted to raise his kids in the same magical environment where he grew up. He fought for it. He pleaded for it. And he was ultimately denied it by his own father, who was being advised by a woman now accused of being a master manipulator and a thief. The money that should have been their inheritance, the equity that should have facilitated a smooth family transfer of the farm, was allegedly being pocketed by Caryn. The financial shortfall that Matt claimed made the deal impossible was a phantom created by theft. How do you process that? The resentment towards Caryn must be off the charts. But the hurt and anger towards Matt must also be immense. How could he not see it? How could he let this happen? How could he choose her over them, time and time again? While Zach and Tori have built a beautiful life for themselves in Washington, there will always be the ghost of what if. What if Caryn had been exposed years earlier? They would be on the farm right now. Their kids would be running through the pumpkin patch as the owners in waiting. That dream was stolen from them, not just by Matt's poor decision-making, but allegedly by criminal activity. A source close to the couple says they are furious and heartbroken and are keeping their distance, focusing on their own children and trying to process the sheer scale of the deception. Jeremy and Audrey Roloff, the quiet vindication. Jeremy and Audrey's reaction is likely more muted, but no less significant. They were the first to try and buy the farm and were similarly rebuffed. They experienced the same frustrating and heartbreaking negotiation process with Matt. Afterwards, they chose to publicly distance themselves from the show and the family drama, focusing on their own brand, books, and homestead. This news validates their decision to walk away. They saw the dysfunction up close and chose not to participate in it. Like Zach, Jeremy must feel a sense of vindication mixed with sorrow for the legacy that was lost. He, too, was denied his birthright based on a situation that was allegedly built on a foundation of lies. This news will likely reinforce their belief that they made the right choice in forging their own path, far from the toxicity that had taken root at Roloff Farms. Part 5. What happens next? The future of the Roloffs and LPBW. Host. With Caryn Chandler facing serious felony charges and the Roloff family in a state of utter turmoil, the future is a massive uncertain question mark. The legal battle. First, there's the legal road ahead for Caryn. If these allegations are true, and the evidence is strong, she is in a world of trouble. We're talking about a lengthy and expensive legal battle. The charges, embezzlement, wire fraud, are federal crimes that carry the potential for significant prison time, hefty fines, and restitution. Matt will be the star witness against her. It will be a messy, public, and humiliating trial, dredging up every private financial and personal detail of their lives for the world to see. The wedding is, without a doubt, off. The relationship is over in the most brutally public way possible. The future of Matt Roloff and the farm. What does Matt do now? He is in his 60s, facing health challenges, and now, he is emotionally and financially devastated. Does he even have the heart to continue running the farm? The place is no longer just a home, it's a crime scene. Every corner holds a memory that is now tainted by betrayal. Will he finally sell it all? It seems highly likely. The dream of the farm being a family legacy is dead. His health is a factor, and the financial hit he's taken might necessitate a liquidation of his largest asset. Or, in a shocking twist, will he finally turn to his sons? Will he go to Zach and Jeremy, hat in hand, and offer them the farm on whatever terms they want, as a desperate act of penance? It's possible, but the emotional chasm may be too wide to bridge. So much damage has been done. So much trust has been vaporized. And what about the show that started it all? Can Little People, Big World even continue? On one hand, this is the most compelling and dramatic storyline they have ever had. A true crime saga unfolding within the family. The ratings would be astronomical. But is it a story anyone wants to film? Matt is likely humiliated and in no condition to be on camera. Zach and Tori have already been scaling back their involvement, and this would surely be the final nail in the coffin for them. They will not want to relitigate this trauma for TLC's cameras. Amy has moved on and has her own life with Chris. It feels like this event is the natural, albeit tragic, series finale. The story is over. The farm, the central character of the show for 2 decades, is now a symbol of betrayal and loss. The family is fractured beyond repair. To continue filming would feel exploitative and ghoulish. It's more likely that TLC will air a special or a final, abbreviated season to address the scandal, and then quietly let the show that changed reality TV come to an end. It truly is the end of an era. For over 20 years, we invited the Roloffs into our homes. We watched their children grow up, we celebrated their weddings, we mourned their divorces, and we debated their family squabbles. We felt like we knew them. We invested in their story. But this final chapter is a dark and cautionary tale. It's a story about how trust can be weaponized, how greed can masquerade as love, and how a family's legacy, built over a lifetime, can be undone from the inside out. Our hearts go out to the entire Roloff family, especially Matt and the children, as they navigate this unimaginable betrayal. They have lost more than just money. They've lost a piece of their history, a piece of their family, and a piece of the dream they all once shared. The big house on the farm stands empty. The wedding plans are canceled. The family is broken. And the woman who Matt Roloff once called his partner in everything may now become his partner in a courtroom drama that will define the tragic final chapter of the Roloff family story. It's over. We will be following this story as it develops, so make sure you are subscribed and have your notifications turned on. What are your thoughts on this shocking news? Did you ever see any red flags with Caryn? Do you think the family can ever recover from this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be respectful, but be honest. Thank you for watching.